Mhm. I guess we are live because me, I can't see. Oh, yes, we are.
Mhm.
Good afternoon, Gossip Talk Shows family. It's Nomsa here at Gossip Talk Shows. Find your own voice, lead from within. With me today, I am with the Shireen Lovegrove and Carol. And how are you, ladies?
Well, great, thank you. And you too?
Good, thanks.
How are
Good.
you, Namsa?
I am good, thank you. So the topic today, why playful is a relationship superpower. Uh, why playful matters in love in the house of adult life. We often think of love as a serious business, bills, responsibilities, long-term planning, but the truth is what often sustains a relationship isn't just shared goals or stability, is play, is being playful towards within the relationship. uh, Playfulness in a relationship isn't about being immature or avoiding real issue. It's about bringing lightness in a relationship, spontaneity, and laughter and creativity into your connection. So, Carol Annie, you chose this topic. Would you like to explain to our audience what was the motivation behind the topic, please?
Okay, yes, it's our further exploration into relationship superpowers, and playfulness and humor was the next one that came up. And as you said, it's not about being childish. It's
Mm.
just bringing some lightness, because sometimes relationships can get really serious, and if there's conflict, it gets very serious. And so it's a way of lightening the mood and being
Yeah.
able to then move on, to be able to deepen that connection and that relationship and that bond that you've got. So yeah, playing for keeps. Why
Mm.
playfulness is a relationship
Mm.
superpower. I thought it was a great title to have and for us to explore. Um, and it is that ability to laugh together,
Mm.
be silly, that actually creates moments of togetherness. That actually helps you actually, the phrase is weather life's storms, the
Mm.
trials and tribulations
Mm.
of life itself. It's not, within a relationship, so yeah. So what did you think, Shireen, when you saw it?
Yeah, I mean, excuse me.
Yeah.
You will have a croaky voice today.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, I live and I really always think about old Mary Poppins one, which is in every job
Mm.
that must be done, there is an element of fun, and we
Um,
must have fun.
yeah. Mm.
We know from a neuroscience perspective that having fun opens creativity. It changes the way we think about things. It creates it shifts the mindset, right? It gives us a way to approach
Mm.
things. But what is maybe in the idea of a relationship is probably to think about it as the emotional glue
Oh,
in a
yes.
relationship. It softens the edges and it can disarm defenses and it can invite openness. So if you think about that, I mean, you look at a
Mm.
child, when a child smiles, most of us, our hearts just melt, right? Most of us.
Yeah.
If someone is sitting there and engaging in some way, if someone smiles, we smile. It's very seldom that it doesn't happen because we have these mirror neurons that reciprocate, and we know that when we use these muscles and we smile in this way, we start releasing a lot of different chemicals. So, whether we, and so therefore it's really important when we play, whether it's through teasing, whether it's, shared laughter, it's, imagination or gentle stillness, really what we are doing, or just having fun, what we're doing is we're co-regulating. We're co-regulating with another
Mm.
person. We're sending each other signals. You are safe with me. I'm not the enemy. And we can enjoy this together, right? So I think that this is really the key aspect of play. And So for me, I always remember something that I saw a long time ago, which was a puppy and a polar bear, or a husky and a polar bear. And because the puppy was playful, it activated the polar bear's active playfulness.
Mm.
And actually, for that period of time, the polar bear never killed the puppy. Basically, the polar bear played with it.
Mm.
So that was really interesting, and you can find it on YouTube. But it was something that really opened my eyes to the idea of how play can bring in this, I suppose, the soul side of a person, like that side that
Mm.
really wants to engage, wants to be part of, wants to co-create with. So yeah, that's that, and obviously that puppy wasn't really trusting; it just didn't know. But it was interesting that something that could have killed it like that
Mm.
didn't. And so it really does mean it does disarm. It does open the gap. It opens the gates to the heart.
Mm.
So yeah, that's what really connected. And in relationships, we've got to be open-hearted, right? We have to
Yeah.
give our all in trust and love, and play is one way we build those trust relationships, which are so very important to us. Yeah, that's what
Mm.
came up for me while I was thinking about play, and then started to just explore it a little bit more.
I love the story about the polar bear Shireen. It's amazing. It
I
shows.
love nature programs.
I love nature as well because they're real. Like when dogs they
Mm.
show love to you. Any animal that shows love to you is authentic. Um, I love the story that you've shared. It is amazing. It shows that we actually, like Carol Anne said, the ability to play together, it brings togetherness. I always say to people, like, the first time when you meet, those first year, first 6 months, it should be like that in a relationship, but it changes to now thinking about the goals, thinking about the future, thinking about money, how children and stuff, but there's no longer, it becomes too serious and too boring. So for me, I don't like a man that is too serious about life. I find it just so boring for a man to be able to put up with me. I'm living like today is my last day. That's my attitude with life. I like to create goals. 5 years, 2 years, but I don't like to go and live there. But some people, they don't know how to separate goals living in that 5 years instead of living in the moment, because life is so short, and life, it can be fun if you create it. Like you mentioned, the child, when a child smiles, Shireen, that smile is so authentic and everyone wants to be around that child. So I think a relationship, it should be like that anywhere. Always.
Mm.
I'm always smiling. And
Yeah,
yeah, I'm always smiling. I
you
don't
are.
take life too serious.
That's nice. And sometimes there are moments when we need to have those moments of seriousness, just
To be
come
in the
down to earth.
stillness, yeah.
But it's recognizing when it gets too serious and you get bogged down in it and you lose that playfulness that's there, that literally lightens everything and actually makes it easier to
Mm,
achieve those goals.
mm,
And I love what you were saying, Namsa, about you living in that 5 year goal out there, or are you here in the moment? Yes, set those goals out there. I remember one year where, as a family, it was with my aunts and uncles and cousins on my mum's side. We had got together at August Bank Holiday and had a camping weekend for the first time, and we had an amazing time. And we said, "Oh, we're going to do it the following year." And literally that year, I was living in
For
next year.
tomorrow.
You know, I was constantly thinking and worrying about, oh, can we get the same spot in that, where we were, and how would it be? And it took me a long time to realize how much I was living in next year's August bank holiday get together with the family, not in the present moment, having set the goal, to get there again. And I think that is important. You lose the joy of the now, because there's that constant worry, there's that constant, oh, is it going to work out? And so yeah, set the goal and the trust that it will work out, because I think there's that phrase, isn't it? Set the what, and the how is not for us to know. It will work out. You just set the intention. So yeah, certainly bring yourself into the moment, and laughter really brings you into the moment, into your body. And I remember when my dad was in hospital, he'd had an operation, and there was some energy really. I remember looking at him and thinking, where's my dad? Because I couldn't see him in his eyes. He just didn't seem to be there. And I remember just thinking, oh, there's some points. There's what's it called? A point on the foot. It's the end of the kidney meridian, and it helps with fear. And I remember thinking, oh, I need to hold those points, and how can I get to his feet? And then suddenly the conversation opened up to about the socks that he had, and there was a hole on the bottom, and it's like, oh, just there, Dad. And I remember just touching each of those points, and then just bringing laughter in, and then he was like burping, and I just remember thinking about Charlie in the Chocolate Factory, where Charlie and his granddad were up in this world. They drank a load of fizzy and they were floating up, and there was sort of a fan going, and then they just started burping and laughing and burping and coming down, and it was as if that was happening to my dad. We were laughing and he was burping, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh, there you are, Dad. He was present in the moment, and we had quite a laugh. And I remember the nurse coming round and taking a double take at him, because clearly she could see he was present. So laughter actually does bring us into the moment, helps ground us in the now, the here and now. And you can just have fun with it. So yeah, it's we could have been quite, oh, Dad, where are you? And got quite upset and serious about it. But yeah, no, it was a bit of fun, and it was really lovely. I shall always remember that, because it's like his eyes. Oh, he was here, he was present. And then the conversation opened up differently. He was with us in the conversation. And I think that's the key thing, because when you're in upset and anger or fear of flight, you're not in the conversation. And so just bringing that touch of humor in, and a bit of laughter, just allows for you to come into the moment. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it really is the space for presence, isn't it? It's a space that just brings us here in this moment, and gives us that real depth of presence. And while you were talking about bubbles and things, of course, my favorite movie, Mary Poppins. When they laugh, where do they go? They go to the ceiling. So laughter is really a mood enhancer, right? It really lifts you, that you feel light, that you are light. And really, that is what we're meant. Our truest nature is a lightness of being, right? Because we are of light. We're just dense in this body. But if we do more of the stuff that allows us to laugh and just have those belly laughs of bubbles flowing through us all the time, then I think nobody would have to worry about weight loss, because let me tell you, you would become light, you would become energetic, you would change. So there's definitely that. I suppose what really gets, every, other than reptiles, every creature, every mammal plays, even birds, right? All warm animals play. And there's something to do with what play really does. Yeah, one, it's a learning school, but two, it also really helps us with neuroplasticity. So it helps us shift from one state to the other. And one of the things when we talk about manifestation, the more you play in the manifestation, right? Even just doing a visualization, you get curious and you really want to do it because you start enjoying it, you are actually engaging all those play circuits, which create a state or trance-like state where you can give yourself really good suggestions. If you watch a child that's playing and how engrossed they are in the play, they're in a whole new world. And that is really what is one of the most powerful manifestation things. And we know it's because it causes this neuroplasticity to occur. So yeah, I think it's really important to kind of recognize that we didn't just develop play for nothing. We developed it for a really good reason. I know that, from an evolutionary point of view, play and smiling was first of all an acquiescence, but somehow that connected into the co-regulatory system. And what that meant was people would look favorably on you. So that was really where that came into. That's why smiling initially, because if you look at when we evolved, we were not, the way we smile was not the same way as we do now. And baring teeth wouldn't really be seen as funny or good. But interestingly enough, when we smile and we open our teeth and we do, all of a sudden it also has a very big shift and change. So we evolved to really use smiling as a co-regulator factor. And I think that it's really quite useful to think about, oh, well, there is an evolutionary trend of that. Our body developed to develop play for a very good reason. Nature never does anything without a good reason. And so therefore, why don't we just pay attention to the wisdom of nature? And the wisdom of nature is we need to go into play in order to truly activate a lot of the things that we really potentially want. So when you were talking something about, your goals and living in the moment. We can still enjoy visualizing those goals and seeing them, and then coming back into the now and saying, okay, how do I take my step one? How do I take my step two? How do I take my step three? What can I do in this present moment, which will be playful and fun? Because the dream makes us happy anyway. So let's utilize the good feelings from the dream to live in the present. So we bring from the future to the present and harness that feeling so that we can use it as a light source or a shining sun. So that's what was pondering through my my mind, where I tend to go all over the show. But yeah, that was where I was going.
I love that, Shireen. I really, really love it. I think we do laughing yoga every Monday. So it does help to connect with your body, to really natural and just teach yourself to be happy. And like Shireen, in Africa, how we live, we always, people are always happy, even if there is nothing like they're not fortunate than people who are overseas, but they always find a reason to be happy. But I think what I see mostly in our generation, I think we take life for granted. Is all about I deserve this, I deserve this. And we end up not really appreciating the love that we have and the people around us. And life it becomes so serious. And the competition is social media, what we see on social media. When I see Shireen posting her holidays with her spouse, and now I go home and I'm annoying my spouse instead of being playful with my spouse. Now I want to go on a holiday because I've seen Shireen going on a holiday. So I'm like, we've never been on a holiday. I think that destroys people. If you really, really look at your life and just start being really, really like what using gratitude. What can I be happy? Like Carol Ann, you said you started living in that next year, and when you live in that next year, you lose the moment of that moment. I think that is really, really the truth. For me, most of the men that I date, they don't find me normal because they try to recruit me to live a serious life. And I'm like, I don't know how, because I've never lived that life. And then I end up being told that I'm not normal. So I'm like, what is normal in life? If I don't have what I have, it what I desire, I don't know what tomorrow is going to look like. So for me, it's all about having faith and implementing, creating goals, and just doing the things that I love to do and trusting God. That's uh, my attitude, that I have to trust God, because what I have learned in the past is worrying about life is a waste of time. You implement goals and you start worrying about what tomorrow is going to look like. Tomorrow end up being amazing. And then you ask yourself, why did I put myself through torture? So I just decided I'm not going to put myself through torture. I just smile in every single day. The people that are in front of me are the ones that bring a smile. It's just to look at them and say, you know what, I'm so grateful that I have these people in my life. And you guys at Gossip Talk Shows is just getting up in the morning and knowing that I have people around me that appreciate my presence. And people call it not normal. Honestly, people think I'm not normal, but I am. I just I
I think
just
that,
don't know how to be serious. Like,
yeah. So it's really saying, challenging, well, what's normal? Because if they're saying you're not normal, well, what's normal? You know, and really it's challenging their idea of, well, what's normal, because yeah, you're normal in your world. You know, it's part of who you are. It's how you live your life, and having fun and being full of laughter and joy and bringing that joy to the world, you know. And I love that, you know, you dance out things, you dancing. That's a beautiful expression. And if people could dance together with love, with laughter, and make that normal, you know, who says that having to be serious is normal? Who says that? Is that what we've come up with, you know, and been superimposed on us? It's challenge that idea. You know, bring some fun to it and sort of have a play around with it and get curious. I love, Shreen, you said you use that word about getting curious, you know. What would life be like if there was more fun? And if people started accusing you of not being serious enough, well, challenge their paradigm, their thinking. What do you mean by serious enough? What am I not doing that has caused you to say that? Just because I'm having fun with life, you know? There's an element of having a balance of, yeah, when I need to, I'll come down, you know, take things serious, but you can still have that lightness in there to shift it, to move it, to really solve the issue that's there in the moment. And I think that's what it, bringing sort of playfulness into a relationship, that humor, helps to stop it getting bogged down in seriousness and, you know, this I'm right, you're wrong, and got to argue about this and tussle it through, you know, because you've made me wrong, you made me angry, you know, you shouldn't have done that. Blah. Whoa, just hey, hang on a second, what's going on here? You know, just lighten the moment, because it allows for that little pause to happen, and you can then reset where you're going and even come back to the conversation, you know, because then you come from a different perspective. And as you were saying, Shireen, and you know that it just brings you into a different part of the brain rather than just shutting down into that fight flight part of your brain, the freeze, fight, flight, where you just have no access to language and rational thought. It's just allowing that pause, and laughter helps bring you back up into that part of your brain where you can, oh yeah, got access to language, and got access to that bigger picture, and oh wow, yeah, actually we can find a solution in this problem. Don't know what it is maybe at the moment, but we can perhaps talk it through. And really, I like what you said. I'm just looking at, you need to go into play because that activates what you want. So it's bringing that realization that actually by playing, bringing fun and laughter in here, we can get what we want. We can achieve what we want. So bringing that to the conversation will help you to achieve one, and maybe sit down and say, well, actually, what do we want here? What is it we actually want that's causing this argument? And explore it, open up the avenue and the channels for exploration rather than just shutting down. And I can feel it, in my heart as I'm talking. I talk about playing and laughing. So yeah, it's just bringing that feel-good factor in so that you can move forward and you can then grow together. I think that is important. So yeah, what a great superpower to have if you can bring that lightness to a relationship. And it's not about just one of you can help do it, but it's about both of you can do it and play together. Like, wow, where could your relationship blossom and grow to, That's a great thought, isn't it?
Very good thought. Yeah, I love that. I think what you're saying there with the idea that, we need to challenge. We need to challenge the idea about what people have about play, or rewrite the story. Maybe not challenge so much, but rewrite the story about play, or the amount of having a sense of fun. I think that story existed because people that often get caught up in fun don't necessarily pay attention to some of the things that should be done, right? So there's something there about what goes on when we're in play, and we need to understand that on one level. I mean, the two amygdalas in our brain work differently. The one side, the right side, just says, hey, I'm the eternal sun and I'm going to play. And the other one on the other side says, I'm the scaredy one, you're not going to do anything, right? So you have these two sides that do this. But we need to recognize that, yes, we evolved because we evolved in a world of hostile things. So of course we have more propensity, or our left side of our brain definitely takes a stronger hit on it. And so therefore we tend to be more negative than positive. Play, we need to learn how to use play directively in some cases, right? We don't just want to play all the time and not achieve anything. There's got to be some direction in play. So even though when you're a child, you're playing without any real constraints, when we're an adult, we have to learn to play differently. Now there's playing where we just play, but there's play where we can really shift the entire dynamic. And the word that came to me was flow. Play gives us a sense of flow, of being. And it was quite interesting because I've been sick, as I said, over the week, and I couldn't give my partner a kiss as normal. So I sat there on the stairs the other day and I went, and he said, I'll catch him, I'll catch him, I'll catch him. And already I said, hey, you got to catch them again. Come on. And it was just, there I was at the stairs. I mean, I'm 60 years old, for God's sake, but I'm still doing it. All right. I think it's really important to recognize that we're all that child inside. And how do we use a lot of the things that we can use very easily to lift someone's mood and to lift our own mood, because once you've done that, you've opened your heart, you've sent the kiss across. I mean, one of my favorite songs is "Blow Me a Kiss from Across the Room." So for me, little things do mean a lot. That's one of my love languages. So for me, it's about those little things which people take effort for. And I had to teach him that, right? So I had to teach him these little things indeed. And so what he's got to do for me is catch my kisses. So these are the things that are part of the relationships. It's about how do you navigate that when someone's totally different? How do you find a love game? How do you find a play in which will nurture both of you, take you into that flow, and recognizing that, that laughter is some of the bubbly, when you have those full out bubbly laughters, you're actually jerking your body. And in a way, you're actually clearing a lot of stuff in that. You're kind of, you're shifting stuff like a cough. Except this is a wonderful cough because it's giving you a shake too at the same time. But yeah, so I think that, really think about play in a very different way, and recognize that yes, there is play where we can just play and do nothing. As adults, we can still do that, but we also recognize that as adults, other things come with it. So how do we work within that system? How do we use play very directionally, as well as also have it that it's a free flow? And challenge anyone who says, if someone says, I can't play, then you say, okay, I'll teach you how to play and still do your work, right? Because that's what we want to do. We want to shift to a new paradigm. We don't want to fight the old one and challenge it. We want to just say, hey, think about this. Let's move it into flow. Let's move it that it's not so stuck anymore, so that they can come with us rather than away from us. So that's how I kind of think about it as an idea of that, because it was a very valid thing that you said there, Caroline, because that's so easy for why people don't play, right? They think it's got to be serious because that doesn't mean I can get stuff done, or you don't take me seriously enough. It's really about how do you go in that dance where flow can happen, and you get this, I'm going to say, the infinity thing that comes to mind. How do I go into that dance of infinity, right? Where you become something that moves in an infinity circle or an infinity movement of everlasting love. Back to the relationship.
That's why I love my dance so much. I love Carol Anne's statement that people can dance together, be curious together, and just play together. I think that is really, really important. And Sharina as well, you mentioned rewriting your story. I think it's all about really looking at life and asking yourself what is important in my life. Because I've met people sometimes, and sometimes they'll tell me about their children. I'm thinking, just get a life. I'm like, the child is growing or they're 16 or whatever. I'm like, mind your own business. Like, why would you argue with your child? And I remember one parents, we were at the meeting, like business meeting, and because we talk about the things that are troubling us and stuff, and she actually started telling us about her arguments with her child, and all of us, we went to just get a life. And she was like, what do you mean, guys? I need to get a life. We're like, just because now this child is the only child and you have nothing to do with your husband and you guys are annoying your daughter, and just get a life. Let her live her life. And she was like, I worry when she goes out. I was like, I do this, I text, and then we end up argument. I was like, we were like, get a life. I just, you brought this child, you gave her the principles of life. All you can do now is pray for her and just be there for her and show her how much you love her, and let her learn about the world, because if she doesn't see how the world is, she's not going to learn. So all you can do is just pray for your child. And I like Shireen when he said to use playfully direct the little things that us people take for granted. I think you are right. We take so many things for granted. It's like, being a matchmaker is like your eyes gets opened because when people come to you, they're not really looking for love. They have a business plan. So I'm thinking, are you that yourself? You must be so perfect that you want life to be like this. And then they're like, what do you mean, Noms? And I'm like, I would love to get to a stage where my life is so perfect. And I'm like this husband that you are describing because I don't think this exists. And they're like, yeah, it does. I'm like, no, you have to first, before you can put down anything you want, ask yourself first, am I that? What I'm asking? Because if you're not that, it means you have to work and go to get into that stage yourself that you are requesting, because there's no such thing, because people will tell you that I need it. They will even describe the hands of a man that they are looking for. It has to. So I'm like, you
Mm.
mean I have to actually ask you guys to show me your hands? Honestly. But then you realize that people, the more you keep asking questions, the more you realize that people have been hurt before. There's a story behind it. So through that story, they've created this picture that they are looking for that does not exist. So I recognize it because I used to be there myself. So I'm like, that does not exist. There are things that we take for granted in life. So what we take for granted in life, they're like, am I allowed to ask for a wealthy guy? I'm like, yeah, if a wealthy guy or a wealthy woman makes you happy, why not? You're allowed to do that. I'm like, but some of the things that people ask, they don't make sense. But then when they get that, will they look after it, Shireen? Like you said, we take things for granted. No, they don't. It's like, when before we go on dating, we lose weight, we do everything. Why can't we do that when we are with our spouse? Just lose weight, go running, go walking with our spouse, dance like Carol Ann said, dance together with the mind as well, and just share laughter together. And I always say to my family when things get tough and everybody panics me, I'm sitting there. I'm like, they're like, you're not taking this serious. I'm like, actually, I am. Number one, I'm thinking, if God is there, is going to respond on my behalf. And I'm also asking God to send my helpers to help me with this situation. And at the same time, God wants me to still smile. God wants me to still give someone a hug and say, I love you. Not for me to focus on my problems, which Tony Robbins teaches that whenever you go through something, don't focus on that. Focus on helping others. And I think that is really, really powerful tool to use. And some relationship gets broken because of people comparing with their lives with each other. I was asking someone the other day, and I was like, why are you so stressed? And he was like, I'm stressed because some people, their life is so easy. But it seems like I have to struggle to get to where I need to be. So I was like, how do you know their life is so easy? And I said to that person, get a life. Honestly, I said to get a life and stop the nonsense, because you are torturing yourself, comparing your life with somebody else who you don't know what they're battling each and every single day.
Yeah.
So no one knows what I'm battling, but they see my smile. So the truth is, we just have to really enjoy life, learn to enjoy life. Uh, we are introducing, like, we have this thing in the system where we do genetic matchmaking. like I'm diplomatic. I don't know if you guys have ever heard about it.
No.
Genetic matchmaking is, let me share it with you. There's diplomat and there is guardian. What else is there? Crusade and censor. So if I am a diplomatic, if I date these other three people, I've got to understand their behavior so I'm able to deal with them. But if I date them with censor, not knowing the censor's behavior, the relationship will clash. Like a diplomat, we're all about laughing, we're all about playful, we're all about solution. Like Carol Annie can come with a problem, me, I'll be sitting there. She thinks I'm into her conversation, but at the same time, I'm thinking about the solution. So when she's finished the sentence, I'm like, have you ever tried this? And she goes, I've never think of life in that way. I'm like, okay. You think it's like we don't see problem as a big issue. We see problem as a skill. And then, but when you date others, you have to really understand how they see life. And then the relationship will work. I can't tell you too much, guys, but they got to be tested. You got to do the test. And then when the results comes out, and then you sit down with these couples and you tell them that, okay, this one she's diplomatic and this one is a censor. So a censor does this and a diplomatic does this. Do you still want to date them? And they say yes. But people focus on money, focus on this, focus on that. But the issue is what Shireen said, like you're sick, but you're thinking, let me blow my kiss to my spouse. You're having a laugh, you're being playful, and your husband is receiving that kiss really, really is playful. So that's what we're gonna be doing, me and my business partner, really to understand. Because when she met me, she was like, I hope she just realized straight away until I did the test, and I was like, my pastor does this, but he does it based on the Bible. That's what my pastor teaches. But you are doing it based on genetic. And I was like, God works in so much ways. If you understand that character, then you can't go wrong in the relationship. There are some that are too serious. You can't change them. That's who they are.
Yeah, and it's being able to understand that and still bring some playfulness that will lighten the mood, but it honors and acknowledges who they are. And what you're talking about, genetic matchmaking, it sounds very similar to other sort of personality profiles, you know, and there's something dynamics, and I can't remember what it's called now. Somebody said, well, you've got the different types of people, and they've applied it to sort of business as well, and I can't remember, but it's similar to what you're saying. People have, you know, show up in different ways, and they've just got a label on it, but it labels their personality profile, and it's how they're showing up in the world. But it doesn't mean that they don't have the other factors within them, because they're there. They're just choosing to show up in the world in the way they are. And it's the same with the Enneagram, which is to do with ego types. Again, a lot of people say, well, this is who I am. I'm ego type number, whichever number they choose or think that they are. They are not that. They are choosing to behave in that way. Doesn't mean that you don't have all the other types within you. And for me, it's about integrating all of them and coming from all of them in an integrated way, which allows you to come with that lightness rather than sinking down into the seriousness and the darker side, more depressive side, and controlling, actually fearful side, an aspect of each personality type. You can bring it, you know, it just brings it all up in a different way. So yeah, interesting to
Mm,
hear about that, Nomsa, and
yeah.
like to know sort of more, just to sort of compare and see how the
Mm,
wording, because this is what I find fascinating, is the shift of wording and things. But very often there's an overlap. You can see the similarities with other profile, tests and things. But I think it helps it to speak to a particular audience. So for you, Nomsa, it's your matchmaking audience, people that are looking for love or for a partner. The way it's phrased, it helps them to understand and apply it in that situation. And I think that's, what's great in all of these other things as well. You can just apply them in different situations. But yeah, it's just that understanding of someone, but being able to understand if someone is more of a serious nature, it's not making them wrong. It's about maybe just teasing out that lighter side of them that actually is there, that maybe they've never even known is there. It's like, oh, didn't know I could be like that. And actually, it is quite comfortable. It's not too bad. And it's just letting it out and teasing it out, but not making them wrong for it. And also for them to understand that you're perhaps more fun going and to bring a bit of seriousness. So you bring in some sort of balance to each other and not make each other wrong. And I think this is where bringing that playfulness in to your relationship, by understanding who each is and who you are. And I love what you were saying, Shireen, about that. As a child, we play, animals play. It is literally just their nature. It's not anything that you have to develop, or it is just part of their nature. And especially animals and puppies and kittens, they just just play. It is so beautiful, and it's beautiful to watch. And it's funny how we're all drawn to watching an animal play. We're just captivated. It stops everybody, but it brings that laughter and that joy in the moment. And to have it in our adult life, I think, is where we could evolve, because I think it's where we're brought up to say, oh, you need to grow up now. You need to grow up now. Be a bit more serious, and be an adult. And it's almost like that. Being an adult means you can't have play, because that means you're a child, and it starts bringing in that confusion. And I think it's what we want to do here is clear that, and open up the possibility that actually that inner child can come out to play, but in an adult way. There is a growing up of that child play. It's still playful, it's light, but it can take on a serious note as well. And so that, I think it's important. But I'd like to sort of bring in here something between, because as I was sort of researching this and thinking about it, thinking, well, sometimes, bring in something to lighten the mood. Sometimes it's that difference between sarcasm and actual teasing, because you can tease somebody, but there is an edge. There's a difference between when it is teasing and when it's actually sarcasm. And it's recognizing and knowing that actually teasing should feel like there's an inside joke. You're together on this. Whereas sarcasm is more like an outside jab at you. And so it's recognizing when that's happening and being able to then deal with that. I think it's important. And noticing, because teasing is different. I mean, my cousin used to tease me. We used to have fun together and laugh, and he used to tease me. But when someone is being sarcastic and it's hurtful, that's really painful. There is no laughter then. It's more one-sided. very one-sided. And that's when it's not lightening mood. And I think, it's getting to know the difference between the two and understanding, and maybe being able to ask some questions, stop and go, okay, what's happening here? And question, sort of just, I can't think at the moment. My mind's gone blank. So what do you think about this sort of difference between teasing and hurtful sarcasm?
I mean, it was actually going a little to that space. So we're all on track. Yes, I love that. Teasing is like an inside joke, and sarcasm's like an outside stab. Yes, or jab. I love that too. Those are so important. And there is something about how to work within that system. I think what I wanted to come back to and bring it into what Nomsa is bringing, which I think is personality types, and working on which, how would your personality fit with someone in a relationship. My partner and I were totally different, but we've found places where we can tease, and we've found places where we are able to, where there are no-goes, right? So I think there's some things which is really powerful is knowing what someone's personality type is. Like you were saying, Nomsa, I think you said, what did you say? I'm the negotiator. What are you?
Did I say?
What did you say you were?
Diplomat.
A diplomat. So like a Libran, right? I would imagine a diplomat to be very Libran, very balanced, very on keel, weighs things up. But that may not be the case. But it's interesting because I think that if you want to bring play into it, you need to understand that person's traits so that you can play within that system. So we need to develop the skills to be able to move within each of these people's systems, because as Caroline, you said, we are part of all of them, and we have a past that actually colors or flavors that personality, right? So and who knows, we've got to find the flavoring that's specific for that person, even if they've got an overall tray that is theirs, the diplomatic tray. I had a friend that was a wonderful diplomat, and I mean, he was an old man, and basically how I got to really know him was I was nursing him, and I would say, I'd take him his cup of tea when I was, in the hospital, and he would say, "What time is it?" And I'd say, "Well, it's time to get up." And he'd say, "Well, no, tell me the exact time." And I'd look at the time, and then he would look at me and he'd say, "I've still got time to sleep." And I would look at him and I'd say, "All right, let me put the tea here. Let me tuck you in nicely." And I'd walk out. Well, he loved me. He was not my type of, we were just there, but I was able to be playful in that moment because that's what he was. He was a smart man. He was a true diplomat. And one of the things was recognizing, okay, that's what he wanted at that moment in time, and I could play with that. I think it's useful to really be in that present moment and just kind of stay with that person. If you have some insight into them, then you can find the route for play. And I think that's the key thing that I'm going to say here that I think is so very important, is we have to have that flexibility to be able to understand the person that's in front of us, find out what makes them smile, what makes them go into play. That's what you've got to do. And that may take a couple of attempts. But if you have a deep insight into someone that's a solution focuser, you might tease them about, "Hey, have you come up with a solution yet?" Right? Nomsa? Do you see? So you can then activate that, and it doesn't become, because I can tell you, if someone comes up with a solution for me, like a lot of men do, I say, "I'm not happy." Right? Don't give me the solution. I want to work it out.
Yeah.
Right? So if someone does that, I'm really not interested. So, but the thing is to understand what you're saying. Is that their focus? If that's their focus, then soften it. Find a way to soften it. Say, hey, you're into a solution already, aren't you? Hey, come back to me now before you give me the solution, right? And so these are little tricks you can do and I think, Nom, so that would be the thing that you would want to have within your relationship building, is what are the kinds of ways that people can actually speak into the strength, the super strength of that person, right? So that you can actually be what might be grating for somebody else, another personality, right? So I think that's the real key here in our sense of play. How do we use that as a system activator?
Yeah, I love that. My pastor made me laugh a few days ago. He was like, it was like the reason why a relationship would never ever work is because people always have an agenda. He was like, you all have plan B. If things don't work with my partner, I'm gonna do this. And he was like, if you were all get rid of, it was like there's few with no plan B. But most of the time people go into things with plan B. And I was like, if you were to focus on that plan A, you make it work regardless of what, but you always have a plan B. And I was like, actually, that's the truth. Actually, people always have things that they've planned and stuff if things don't work. And also, Shirini, what you're saying is get to know that person. Like when you're saying your friend from the hospital, I think it's really, really important. For me, I see people in a relationship is more what they can get or what they think they deserve instead of getting to know the other person really, really well and enjoying the moment in that relationship. I think that is really, really important when you serve, because when we enter a relationship, we're serving that person. And at the same time, we are receiving the love that they give us gracefully. So if everybody can just forget about what they can get, what they deserve, our generation, not your generation, guys, our generation is what I deserve. I deserve to be treated like a queen. So who do you think you are treating me like this? That's the attitude that we have. And even men, they have the same attitude. But if they were like, okay, I'll find the love that I'm looking for and I'll really, truly get to know that person. Somebody said to me on Sunday, said, oh, whatever you do, you always do it properly. So we are wondering. I popped into the office in the morning, and then I come out, and then this guy, the other guy, they were talking. Then they started talking to me, and I said to them, everything that I do, I don't do it for me. I do it for others, just to make sure that I have to get to know people, what they like, what they don't like. And then my job is to serve, not to control anybody, like what Carol Annie said. And that's why I produce the results that I produce. And the guy looked at me and was like, I'm good with it. I'll follow your rules. I'm good with that. Yeah, because they just, people talk behind your back, but I overheard them talking and I was like, you can say out loud. And I was like, yeah, whatever you do, whatever you touch, you always put your time and effort in it. So we were just wondering why. I was like, it's because I'm here to serve people, not to control anyone. Um, if I go to the toilet, if the toilet is dirty, I go to the cupboard and I clean it. I leave the bathroom clean. And that is me letting somebody that tomorrow, that's how I like to find the bathroom, the toilet. When you clean it, this is how you clean it. No cheating. So I don't complain. I don't complain. My complaint is to go and do the work. You come back, you're like, oh, that's how Nomsa like things done. Not to be perfect, but no cheating, but do things as they were your own. That's how relationship needs to be, serving somebody gracefully. It's 6 minutes past,
Yeah.
ladies. Words of
Mm.
encouragement.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I've just got a few quotes I'd like to share. One is by George Bernard Shaw, which I love. I've always loved this one. It's like, we don't stop playing because we grow old. We grow old because we stop playing. And I love that. I just thought, wow,
Love that.
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. So really think about that. You know, it does help keep you young by playing, because it brings that lightness in. And William James says a sense of humor is just common sense dancing. So it's bringing in that dance again. And then Dr. John Gotham, couples who laugh together are more likely to stay together. So bring that love and laughter in, bring humor in, and play with what presents. And this is what I love doing when I'm working with people. It's playing with what presents, you know, what's there, and just playing around with it, exploring it, getting curious, and just rather than getting bogged down in the seriousness of it. So yeah, bring love and light, bring play and playfulness back into the game of relationships, is what I say. Shireen, what would you like to leave them with?
Yeah, I think the thing that to really understand is that, you know, play gives us the ability to be human in our humanness. So if we think about play, in play, the soul steps forward barefoot, unguarded, laughing, free. It's where love speaks without words. A heart remembers how to belong.
I love that, Shireen. For me, is for people to understand that love may start with a spark, but for that love to stay strong, it has to have shared laughter and adventure and gratitude in it as well. And then it will last for a very, very long time. Dancing in the rain, barefoot. It's dancing in the rain, barefoot.
Well, thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Love.
And yeah, please do
Great
join the
topic,
group. We
Caroline.
have Unique Billionaire Mindset and Gossip Talk Shows group, and the website is www.hseia.coach. And yeah, there's another domain that is being created actually that would cover London. So I'll let you guys know. I think it will be ready next week. And yeah, God bless everyone. We'll see you tomorrow.
I'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.